welcome everyone to the X Talk of Xplor Education. So this is the final session for X Talk this year. So first of all, before I begin, I really want to thank everyone for your participation. I've been in my corner silently watching and enjoying the engagement so far. So first of all, I really want to thank you. And so I'm gonna kick off with the final session. So first of all, my name is Heshan. So I'm the Director of Engineering for Xplor Education. So what it essentially means is I'm the head of the department for engineering. I look after all the engineering strategies, the roadmap, the budgeting, the resourcing for engineering, and I absolutely love enjoy leading this fabulous team and a very skillful team we have at Xplor Education. So I've been with Xplor for almost a year now. It's been an amazing journey so far, and I think we've achieved a major feat of engineering over the last year. So everything we've presented up to today in these X Talks today was things that we achieved within the year. So that's absolutely something to be proud of. Outside of work, I love to stay active. I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy making cocktails as well. So it's a hidden talent or something that I would like to pursue after. Right. Without further ado, today I'm just going to talk about just 4 things. No big deal. Just four main things that it's probably going to take our focus, the focal points for us in 2023. So. If some of you probably would have seen the talk that was done by lovely Lex on single sign-on, so that's going to stay a focal point for us in 2023. Data as a service, I'll touch on that, what that means, and then what we're thinking about that for 2023, and how we're going to enhance our payment gateway capabilities, and what we're going to do for our enterprise APIs and the internal APIs in 2023. Those are the 4 things, but I'll talk on the other areas that probably hangs off these things, but our main focal points will be these. Moving on, just a little bit about Xplor as a business. Xplor Technologies is a global brand. So we operate in multiple parts of the world, pretty much covers large chunk of the continents we have in the world. We have education and ECE sector. We cater to the sector in this part of the world, mainly Asia Pacific. But in general, what do we do as a business, Xplor Technologies and Xplor Education? We provide 3 things. So vertical specific SaaS. So if you look at Xplor Education, we have BMS software that helps our ECE administrators. We have software that goes and helps our educators in the sector. And then we have integrated payments that are attached to that. We also have something called CATS, which stands for Commerce Accelerating Technologies. What these are is basically to manage your digital marketing, your loyalty programs, scheduling appointments, service delivery. These are the areas that we operate in this CATS area. So 3 main areas for vertical specific SaaS, payments, and commerce accelerating technology. These are the value that we bring to the table for our customers. We are an organization that would love to form partnerships. We do not want to sell our software or our products just because they're good products that we believe they're good products, but we also want to understand your business, what your business goals are, what you want to achieve out of what we bring to the table, and then help you achieve those goals and forge a partnership that long lasting, that we both benefit from. So in this scenario, this is the reason I think most of our talks earlier, we also touched on the fact that we need your help in certain things. We want you to come forward and then join hands with us in solving problems in a joint fashion, because we do not want to go into a corner and solve something and then ask you to adopt it, but rather would love to have the joint ownership towards the solutions that we bring. We thoroughly believe this way is the way for us to create a legacy in the sector and ECE by and large in this part of the world, or even in the global arena, that where we bring our solutions to the rest of the world. So before we move forward, I just want to touch on a little bit about our planning process for 2023, because that's basically what we are here to talk about. Now, while engineering is a major focal point for Xplor Education as a whole, we have obviously other demand pipelines or the other demand items that are coming through the pipeline. That would be either our customer requests, our internal requests, could be a bug that we have to fix, could be other enterprise requests for our large customers who are with us. So while engineering is an area that we obviously take or dedicate a certain percentage of our roadmap, that percentage is about 15 to 20%. Now, yes, for the rest of it, it's all feature development. We advance our product features, our platform capabilities in general. Now, the part that I'm going to talk about are mainly dedicated towards that 15 to 20% mark, where we enhance and uplift our platforms so that we focus on the cross-cutting aspects of the platform, like security, like resiliency, like VCP. So while I can't make exact promises about the exact timelines where these are going to drop, these will definitely remain our areas of focus in 2023. Now, so the first one I want to touch on is single sign-on, which is something that we did a major session earlier. Lex did this session for us a couple of hours ago, mainly about how we are going to leverage single sign-on and federated identity across our platforms for our customers. Why this is important at a major level, at a very, very 60,000 feet level. Why do you care about this? Why you should care about it? Simple answer: security. Now, if you look at what's happening in the world and where things have gotten pear-shaped or compromised in the past, it's not that the hackers or the malicious entries that were made that made their way into those platforms. It's not that some of the security layers got compromised. It's rather we left a certain part of that platform exposed, and hence the reason why these malicious entries kind of found their way in. Having a local identity that cannot be turned off remotely, or when a staff leaves the organization, is one of these situations where a disgruntled staff member, ex-employee, might actually exploit or would leave it open for somebody else to snatch. Now, this is the reason why we believe single sign-on should actually be a focal point for us and for you guys as well in 2023. So we are going to focus on rolling this out for the entire industry of basically our platforms in the next year, with obviously your help on it. The other area that we're going to probably try and understand is this: how do we define this RBAC model, or role-based access? Once we have the single sign-on capability established, we would love if we can drive authorization as part of it. So identity obviously goes in two hands: authentication and authorization. So authentication could be with the identity provider that you have in your organization. Could be a version of Active Directory, could be a version of Google G Suite. I think most of us are on some shape or form of Active Directory, whether that's on-prem or cloud. But once we have that, we would love for us to understand, based on your privilege that you've granted to that user, what is that? How does that translate to the systems that we have within Xplor? For example, by virtue of the fact that you are a member of a certain group in Active Directory, could translate into your admin in Xplor Office, or you have a educator login to Playground. So we would love to understand that. Obviously, we cannot do this on our own. We'd love your participation to it, but that's the problem that we're trying to solve through that. Automated onboarding, offboarding. So I think once we have the capability established, onboarding would become quite easy, because the fact that you're part of that identity platform will allow you to authenticate. Offboarding is a little bit trickier, because yes, it will disable your login, but we'd love to expand that a little bit further to say, when a user leaves the platform, do you want us? What kind of information are we allowed to retain? Are we allowed to retain the audits? Are we allowed to retain the user's credentials or the user's information, or are we supposed to wipe that straight after? So there are areas that we'd like to explore a bit more, understand from different customers how exactly this is going to work for us. And advanced data sharing capabilities. For example, if we have a certain established identity capability that we established with the identity platform outside of Xplor, we could essentially come up with areas such as, or concepts such as birthright access. The fact that you are part of this department means that you get access to these platforms straight away. So data sharing capabilities could be quite a powerful tool for partnerships in the future. So all depends on how well we can roll out the federated identity, what's the uptake on it, and mainly how much we understand your business and what your problems you're trying to solve in 2023. So we'd like to partner with that. This is a big one, DaaS, so data as a service. I think why this is important. So first of all, ECE as a sector generates a lot of data. Xplor Technologies or Xplor Education, we generate a lot of data, mainly to do with children, educators, parents, payments. All these areas generate a lot of data that you as customers are quite interested in. It could simply be that, all right, I have some dashboards built in the Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, what have you, that I just want to have access to my data so that I can actually visualize my data. Could be that. I have a CRM that would want my data to be plugged in so that I would understand my revenue projections or where my customers are, so that you can do some segmentation. Could be that. But whatever the requirement is, having real-time access to your data is super important. And it is important for us to expose as much as we can the data yourself. Right now, if you look at the ways that Xplor Education exposes the data of our BMSs, mainly are either through our enterprise API suite or through data extracts, which you might use. Whichever the area that you, or whichever the path you take to integrate with this thing, there are two things which are very, very clear. One, you'll have to maintain your own development team to extract this data and store this data somewhere. Second, as I said, you'll have to maintain a copy on your own. And maintaining this sync between the data is always a pain. Why? You'll have to come up with a way of constantly hitting the APIs and then upload or refreshing your data, or if you're based on data extracts, whenever the extract is available, you need to go in and fetch that extract and make sure the data is in sync. Either is painful. And not to mention the more copies you maintain, more vulnerable you are. It is your data. It is obviously Xplor's data as well. It is your data. It's our partnerships data. We do not want this kind of data getting into the wrong hands. So more copies you maintain, without a doubt, logically, the security risks would go up. Now, this DaaS platform that we are thinking of building in 2023 is very much focused towards solving this problem to a large degree. With this, what we're trying to do is giving you curated or giving you access, real-time access or near real-time access to your data through an identity platform that is designed just for you. You will be able to do plug and play, it'll come with plug and play capabilities into most of the visualization tools like Power BI that you can directly query this data. And obviously, given that it is in one place that you don't have to maintain multiple copies of it, will reduce that breach and enforces compliance across the board for all your data. So, and if you look at today, for some of our enterprise customers, you would understand this. If you want to build more API endpoints, it has to go through a certain prioritization process where it gets into a roadmap and we allocate resources to build that. Now, with this capability, if we establish a good schema where we can interpret that data in a way that you understand, essentially you'll have access to all your data in one go without having the need to come up with different mechanisms or different ways of getting access to the data that you should have access. So This is at a concept stage still. We are doing a lot of POCs at this point, even as we speak, about how we can bring all our data together. As you know, we have multiple BMSs in Australia and even in New Zealand. So whatever way, the capability established needs to bring this data together. So we're doing POCs and will remain as a major area that we would like to understand and explore and build it into 2023. Next one, payments. So I think a lot of you guys know that we do integrated payments in our platforms. Why is this having integrated payments in our platforms is important to you? The main reason is it will guarantee revenue. Like of course that you can invoice your parents, you can invoice whoever the guardians who are supposed to pay for that childcare service that you provide through other means. Now, obviously, you can have a FPOS device and say this is your bill for the month or for the week, and then get that parent to settle that. Now, if the educator or the administrator or the parent forgets to do this, you will see fluctuations in your revenue line. As opposed to having an integrated payment solution, we will do that for you. We'll take that overhead from you and then ensure that there's a direct revenue line or your revenue doesn't fluctuate simply because you forget to do certain things. Second thing, reconciliation. Now, I know a lot of you guys here are from technology and you represent the technology of your business, but there's an accounting department and a finance department that you probably have who are interested in making sure that your reconciliation happens so that you don't need to do that afterwards. So you don't need to do a manual reconciliation. Automated reconciliation is a big positive for your finance team. Can you just quickly say what BMS stands for as well? Yeah, so BMS stands for Business Management Software. So if you have ever heard of Office or QuickKids or Discover in New Zealand, these are the BMSs. So it stands for Business Management Software, and we have something else called People Engagement Software, which if you have heard of Playground and Home, these are the People Engagement Software. Thank you, Vivek, for that. So moving forward, payment gateway enhancement is very important so that we let our parents engage as much as possible to pay through these payment gateways that we have established so that we take the hassle from you. In order to do that, we are thinking of enabling things like Apple Pay and Google Pay to pay for their invoices. We are also, like, given that we are trying to increase this parent engagement, obviously logically it will increase the number of payments that we process. So the ability to handle large volumes of payments is critical. So we are thinking of increasing this efficiency in these payment gateways in a way that we can process a lot more payments faster and with less errors. When we do have errors, how do we handle those errors graciously? And how do we do further reconciliation and better reporting for you guys so that we expose that back into you wherever that's necessary. Last one is a really important thing that we have been POCing for a bit. Now, SoftPOS, for a lot of your centers, if you look at where casual payments are made, you probably have a POS device and a merchant account to back that, where you will get the parent to pay for that invoice then and there. Now, we all know that managing POS devices, having merchant accounts is a very costly exercise, not to mention the large margins that the banks would take and the network Visa or MasterCard or Amex would take in the middle, which will impact your revenue. Now, in SoftPOS world, we all know that very recently Apple released something called Tap to Pay on iPhones. So we're thinking of whether we can leverage this capability that from an educator perspective or from an administrator perspective, we expose that to the parents through our platforms and allow the parent to pay through either Apple Pay or Google Pay or even a credit card, where we capture the payment and then we process the payment, which will go through our payment gateways, essentially giving you the same guarantee of reconciliation reporting and that hassle-free revenue line that will guarantee revenue for you. So these are the areas that for payments that we're going to be focusing on in 2023. Last one is a very important one. So APIs. Now, while I did talk about data as a service, and I kind of pitched it in a way that it is a replacement for API Expansion Suite or API Enterprise Suite, but APIs will still remain a major utility for us, for some of our customers who are using our enterprise APIs to integrate. Secondly, for us internally as well, that we use a lot of APIs. If you look at our Playground, Home, even Office actually works on these APIs that we are exposing from our middleware that gets the data from our database and then does the reads and the write back and forth from the app. So working on this API, so expanding this API suite is very important for us. To start with, we will definitely look at including Playground data in our API suite. Right now, if you look at our API suite, it's mainly talking about the Office PMS platform. But I know that there are a lot of customers, we have received a lot of requests from our customers to include Playground data, especially for health events and learning capabilities that we have in Playground. So that's something that we'll focus on. The other is better error handling, back pressure handling with further volumes going up on our API suite. Things like back pressure handling and ability to cope up with higher volumes in a gracious fashion is very important. And maintaining that level of response times in an API when the volumes go up is another challenge. So that's going to be another area that we'll focus on. The other part is versioning and backward compatibility. Why this is important? Because you may not be on the latest version of the API, and you may not want to keep up, or you may not want to cut over into the latest version because you are still working through your change management processes with the current suite that we have. In that case, having backward compatibility when you go up is important. Second, if you want to stay where you are until the API versions is deprecated, it's important that you have the versioning on the API so that you know exactly which version of the API that you're using. So we'll work on that. API quota management. Now, we would want to, like with the amount of data that we expose, we might want to have certain quotas allocated for a certain parts of the platforms or the data that we expose to you guys. So that's an important part that eventually the quota management and entitled management will try and bring this to the APIs in 2023. Last one, but not the least, I think we can all agree that data extracts are not the best way to integrate. Bearing in mind that obviously there's going to be some challenges or some change management that needs to take place in order to make it work. But in an ideal world, we'd love to retire the data extracts and then either move all our customers to APIs or to our DaaS platform in 2023. But with the obviously the blessing from you guys that it is possible that you can manage the change for that.